What about this stuff about eating cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio, when Springfield, Ohio is saying, hey man, that's not happening here, just leave us alone?
We are in the midst of a very serious healthcare crisis.
This is Gary Carboraider. In the second part of this video, we're going to hear people talk about hunting with bullets versus foraging animals from a pond, like in Ohio. Well, first up, we're talking about health. America is in a health crisis. Now, what does that mean? It means a lot of things. Even if you do live healthy and eat my Carboraider diet, you can still be a victim of this healthcare crisis and the health crisis. The rate of cancer is growing. Who knows who can get it? There's many different types of cancer, some that don't involve diet. Then if you do get some kind of health problem, there could be problems with getting treatment for it. Now, right now, a lot of people have free health care like me, but we'll get into the fact that you could lose free health care. Also, injuries count here, and anybody could get injured. And part of being a health enthusiast is thinking about the future. Now, right now, everything might look fine, but the future's in question here. A lot of people don't know that you could just lose free health care and end up like you were before. I went through my whole teens and 20s and I think 30s without free health care, and we just don't think about it then, that's a crazy way to be going. You know, we're just lucky if something doesn't happen. So in the future, at some point, you're probably going to need health care. And in these clips right here, you're going to see why that health care might not be there, maybe in just a couple years. You're also going to see that there's something you can do about it.
This is now your third time running for president. You have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare. I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, never going to be great, or do I let it rot? And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. Until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
He said, concepts of a plan. Oh, you all watched the debate. Concepts. No actual plan, concepts. And understand what's at stake on that. 45 million Americans are insured through the Affordable Care Act. And he's going to end it based on a concept. And take us back to when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions.
What's your reaction to what he is saying?
It's really quite amazing, Anna. He has been in 3 political campaigns. He has been president for 4 years. We are in the midst of a very serious healthcare crisis. We spend twice as much per capita on healthcare as any other nation. 85 million Americans uninsured or underinsured. Our life expectancy is lower than many other countries. And after all of that time, he is working on a concept for a plan. And obviously, he did not save the Affordable Care Act. He worked his tail off as president to make sure that it would be defeated. We saved it by 1 vote, John McCain's vote.
So it's clear what you can do about it. For those of you who are not familiar with voting, in order to vote, you need to be registered. Oh, yeah, that's a thing. If you listen to right-wing Trumpers, you might just think anybody can vote, and maybe they could vote twice. I should leave no confusion there. You cannot vote twice. It's actually a felony, I think. Yeah, Trumper got busted for that in 2016. Because Trump has said multiple times over the years, he's hinted at people to vote twice. He's still doing it. That's another reason to vote against him. The guy's crazy.
When they said the president said I can vote, I'm here illegally.
Did you hear President Obama say that illegal people could vote?
Yes, I did.
I
heard
it
this morning. Yes, I did hear it.
Tell me, where?
You can find it, Google it. You can find it on Facebook.
What are you basing that statement on, of failure of vegans?
Oh, do a Google, Gary. Do a Google on the failure rate of veganism. It's anecdotal evidence. It's not. I'm not talking about peer-reviewed literature. It's a Google thing.
So, what?
I would do my own research. I would watch the videos I wanted to watch by people saying what I wanted to hear. So I would absolutely cherry pick. I had quite serious problems with my mental health.
All right, hold on. I don't want to waste any more time, but anyway, I see where it came from, and it's Fox Business Network deceptively edited a clip of Barack Obama to argue that the president encouraged illegal immigrants to vote when in fact he had said nothing of the sort when you go back to the transcript. You, as you sit here today, think that millions of illegal people voted in this country.
California allows it.
They do not allow illegal. You mean voter fraud California allows?
He might not come out and say certain things, but he will take your health care away. He doesn't care. It's clear he doesn't care about that issue, just like he doesn't care about a whole bunch of things. Certainly doesn't care about dogs, or especially ducks. That's a member of the bird family. He eats a bird every night for dinner. And all of his positions go against animal rights. And he's pro-rights of the animal abusing businesses. Wants to cut their regulations, save them money, because it's all about money. So yeah, you need to register. There's still time, but at some point this month, it'll be too late to register.
You know, my biggest fear right now is nothing is in place, or I don't know if anything's in place, to not have the election stolen again. That's my biggest fear.
Now, speaking of Trump, let's listen to what his dumb supporters think about hunting and the dog-eating fake crisis.
The former president has said immigrants are eating cats and dogs. That's been disproven and debunked. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, I don't like it. That's not what us Americans do. That's not how we live. We fish and stuff like that. We hunt for our food. As American, that's what we used to do.
I was confused when I first heard this. If you're confused there, he completely did not hear when the interviewer said that it's been debunked. Yeah, you can not believe that, but he didn't even hear it. He completely misunderstood what the guy said.
If you really need to eat food, there's homeless shelters if you want better food, like PB&Js.
But it's not happening, so are you ready to just say, let's not talk about that anymore?
Honestly, I mean, I would rather Trump talk about it.
To be honest with you.
Honestly, I don't like,
Now, do you see what I'm doing with those clips? I see this a lot. With people that I'm pretty sure lie and are currently lying, they often say stuff like this. To be honest, it's a form of projection. It's protesting too much. If you feel like saying honestly, which I don't do, so you never see me doing that, so I have no reason to lie here. I'm basically unmonetized, meaning I don't make money, hardly any, but I am monetized, but I don't get views. I have no sponsors to talk about. If you're saying stuff like, if we're being honest, to be honest, that means sometimes you're not honest. You're not letting that slip without even realizing it.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, I would rather Trump talk about it because it is something we need to like stand for and say, hey, we need to address this.
Even if it's not happening?
Yeah, honestly.
What about this stuff about eating cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio, when Springfield, Ohio is saying, hey man, that's not happening here, just leave us alone. Do you think they should stop saying that?
So the term that everybody's using, eating cats and dogs, I've seen one video in particular where that was in the literal sense, of a cat in particular.
Photos and video being taken out of context or wholly misidentified are being used to spread misinformation and falsehoods.
They're eating the dogs, run, spot, run. They're eating the cats, bacon, eggs.
Video of Ohio woman accused of eating cat is from Canton, Ohio, not Springfield. She has entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity.
They're saying that wasn't in Springfield, though, right? They're saying that was taken from South Florida or Haiti.
I mean, sure. I mean, I really don't know, to be honest with you. But I have seen the governor giving a speech in Springfield, and have seen videos of people going into ponds and taking, birds or ducks or geese.
What about shooting ducks in North Carolina and geese here, like sport hunting?
Oh yeah, sport hunting. There's a season for it. There's regulations and rules around that. It's a little barbaric, I think.
Hunting?
No, the people that are going out and grabbing wildlife, from like a national park pond or like a local pond.
How is that different than shooting a duck or a goose?
I don't know. Shooting one is a little bit more humane instead of, wringing its neck, if you want to put it that way.
That's just money getting handed to them, but it comes to us, man. That's we gotta get back in check, man.
I think that Donald Trump has proven himself as commander-in-chief, whereas Tim Walz, another socialist, far left, has stolen valor.
They predicted if Donald Trump was lucky, he'd win 3 states. When I was in college, I do have a master's degree too. Well, almost. I kind of quit before I got it. But when I took a statistics course, So
it's like concepts of a master's degree, right? What issue is it most important to you in this election?
Getting inflation down.
Vice President Harris has made building up the middle class a centerpiece of her campaign. What is it about her argument that makes you choose somebody else?
Are y'all for Trump or for Kamala?
If building up the middle class is an important issue to you, why choosing the former president rather than the vice president?
Looking forward, tax cuts. I think that at the end of the day, that's gonna bring more incentive to work harder.
Trump wants to have tax breaks for corporations and for the wealthiest Americans. The vice president, as part of her platform, wants to cut taxes for working people and raise the minimum wage. Does that impact your vote at all?
I don't agree with tax cuts on the big corporations, but
that's a centerpiece of former President Trump's agenda, right?
I say, probably not the best person to ask on this subject.
Can you tell me what owning the libs means to you?
Prove them wrong, because they're wrong about a lot of things. And, I don't think they even necessarily mean to be wrong. They just don't know what's right.
And give me one example.
I never thought that we would even be here standing, even talking about liberals.
Meaning?
Remember the Academy Awards? I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. And this stupid guy goes up. He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the best prime time, the best picture. And it said basically,
Okay, well, there's too many examples. I don't know. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
There's so many. There's got to be one.
I just pray that the country turns around and we become one nation under God again.
and then I think he said something like, ha, 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 he thinks he bothers me or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife. What a dope. She's not as smart as him. He's not smart. He never was smart. He wasn't smart 40 years ago. He was hale and hearty and well met, but he wasn't a smart person. But she is a very dumb person.
And I know dumb.
Sort of a threat to our...
I think Biden and Kamala are lying to the public.
About what?
About a lot of things.
Name one.
Okay.
You have to get off the news. You have to go someplace else and find it.
Can you point to me a single judge that has ruled that the election was stolen or that there was malfeasance that would have overturned the results of any state?
Look at the Supreme Court.
No, he's here to support.
Well, the Supreme Court hasn't accepted any of these cases either.
How do you know that?
because they have a docket and they list what cases they review and they issue their opinions.
You choose to believe that, you can believe that, but I have alternative news and I find out differently.
Absolutely, 1,000%. Okay?
As far as liberals, they have no clue. They deny that transgender things are going on. They deny it all.
28% of Trump supporters say they believe that public schools are providing students with sex change operations. 28% think public schools that can't even afford to buy the teachers supplies. Those same public schools have surgeons on staff performing those sexual reassignment.
Let's talk about the World Economic Forum, right? Let's talk about the Green New Steel. Let's talk about that.
These are just buzzwords. These are just straight up buzzwords. What is the World Economic Forum to you? Is it some nefarious entity trying to take over?
Absolutely.
He is going to get us out of these endless wars.
But if I were the president, I would inform the threatening country, in this case Iran, that if you do anything to harm this person, we are going to blow your largest cities and the country itself to smithereens. We're going to blow it to smithereens. You can't do that.
So that is Donald Trump's solution to ending wars. This is so childish. It's amazing. He's been accused of being mentally stunted at around age 11. That is incredibly naive. Remember when we attacked Iraq, and remember how that went? And that was an easy country to invade. They had little defense. It ended up being a big mess that killed a lot of Americans. It only made things worse. Now Trump is talking about attacking Iran. Do you know the difference there? Trump is worrying people about World War III, and he's threatening to cause it.